Hey, today I'm checking out something pretty cool by Recover Tactical, the P9 Plus. So this is a chassis system for Glock pistols. So in the box, we've got the chassis, we got the brace, of angled foregrip, and a bunch of little pieces. It comes with some nice detailed instructions that kind of walk you through all the steps. And here is the chassis. I actually threw the pistol grip on there. It's a regular AR-15 pistol grip. It's got an AR-15 style safety selector right there. So put it on fire, and then the trigger pulls, and when it's on safe, it doesn't pull at all. And this is a really cool grip. You just hook it on with that bolt. But that grip also can hold a Glock magazine. So I'll throw a magazine in there. So it's a regular G19 magazine. But so it just clicks in there, and it's held in, and you just push up and pull down to pull it out. So you push up with your thumb, pull down with your fingers. And otherwise, it's so snug in there, it's not going to pop out on its own. And I also had installed this bracket here on the side that is where the folding brace clips onto. And that's just a regular buffer tube there, attachment in the back, so you can put a regular buffer tube and a brace on there. But this folding brace is really cool, and it has a riser. There's 2 screws that hold that riser on. It helps kind of get your eye in line with your optic, which is just perfect. And what's really cool is that you can just fold that brace, and it hooks onto that little clip there, and then it won't fall off. So you just fold it through, and it kind of pops on that clip. So it won't deploy accidentally, but you just kind of grab it and pull up a tiny bit and pull, and it just easily comes back. And it's got a nice tight lockup with that push button there. That's a really cool brace. And with that buffer tube attachment, it seems like you could put it on almost anything. So I think it's really neat. Any bufferless system, of course. And there's a little kind of spot there where if you're going to use a plate with your castle nut, like if you want a sling plate on the back, you put that in there, and that's what helps the plate to index right there in that hole. So that's a good deal. So you open it up by popping these 3 clips, 2 in the front, 1 by the pistol grip. And there you can kind of see the outline of a pistol. And there's the linkage to where the trigger works. So there's a little reset spring built into that linkage to keep the trigger part forward. It goes in front of your main trigger. When you pull back on it, it pulls the trigger. It's a really neat, slick setup there. Here I'll install the pick rail on the side first. So you put a little nut in the inside, you hold that with your finger, and then you screw a screw in from the outside. Pretty easy, kind of torque that down. It's a great little bit of pick rail for maybe a light or something like that. And do the same on the other side. So you drop that little nut in there, and then there's some indexing pin, and then you tie that screw down. Perfect. So that already adds a lot to it. It's got a spot for your thumb to index there, which is nice. Looks definitely cool to see those 2 extended pick rails. And here is an actual metal shroud that you put onto. So that has a spot where it pops into the frame, and then you run a regular screw right through there to tie it into the frame. So you could kind of jam stuff with that. It's nice that it's made out of metal, and it looks super cool. So really you can see the aesthetics of this are building up and how awesome it looks. And it just got a really great look to it. All the little details and the design work in there. And this is a charging handle. So this is a pretty cool piece. This goes on top of the Glock slide, and then it kind of, the handle sticks out through that little window there, so you can charge. Here's my Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS. We're clear. And so you have to take off your red dot sight to get this charging handle to fit on, and it interacts with the serrations on the rear of the slide and just slides on there. It's got a good, pretty tight lockup on there. So you can see you can charge it even outside of the chassis. And then you push it down, and you get that linkage to interact with the trigger. And then there you can see you pull on the linkage, and that's what triggers the trigger. And so it's kind of a long pull, but it feels really good. It surprisingly feels good. And I think even if you had a better trigger, this is just a stock trigger in my Glock, it would feel even better. And when you're actually running the gun, it's a pretty nice trigger. And you don't really notice it at all. So you can charge it. And even from this side where you can see the slide of the pistol, it really just looks like an actual PCC, like a real firearm. It doesn't look like a chassis system. It looks like a full, legitimate PCC, which is really cool. And it was so easy to throw the pistol in there too, that it seems so versatile. So here is that angled forend grip, and it has the same thing as a pistol grip, where you can put a mag in there and you push up with your thumb and pull down with your fingers, and it pops it out. And otherwise, it's very securely locked in there. I don't think that thing is going to fall around if you're running or jumping. If you snagged it on something, I suppose it might be able to pull out, but it's pretty hard if you don't push up and pull down at the same time. And that gets your hand in just the right spot. So that's so cool, with your thumb resting on that pick rail we put on there. And look at that. It's looking totally awesome. You can fold that brace. You can look right down at the barrel. And I even have a little bit of an extended barrel too I can throw in my slide, which is nice if you want a little longer barrel. And so it can fit a Glock 17, Glock 19, quite a few different Glocks. And that safety works, so that's really nice to have. And it just looks totally awesome. This is a perfect chassis if you live in a restricted state. If you're, say, in the state of Washington or something, this is just perfect for you. So it's got this kind of nice beveled mag well here, so you can get your magazine in there more easily. You press the mag release and the mags just fall free. They pop right out. And that kind of interacts with the actual mag release right there on the pistol. So it works the same as it would work from actually using the pistol. And it's really easy to get them out. And you can see that nice flared mag well to help get them in there. So you can even bring them in at an angle, and they really just are guided right in. So that's nice to have. And it's flush fit with that G19 magazine. But you can use extended magazines or really any that work with the regular G19. But it looks totally awesome. And when it's locked back, if you want to get the slide forward, you need to take out the magazine and put in a fresh magazine and then rack the slide, and it'll drop forward. There's no manual slide lock or slide release. But this is, so if you live in a restricted state, you can turn your pistol, which is normally pretty easy to get, right into an actual PCC. It looks real. It feels great. It'd be worth dedicating a whole Glock just for this setup. So I want to throw some of these kind of cool looking iron sights on here. So these are stylized just like an MP5 sights with that drum sight in the rear. So let's get those on there. And I think this just really adds to the aesthetics. If you saw this on the range, I think you would think it's some sort of MP5 clone type PCC or something. Look at that. Look at that sight picture. You have the little notch. So those look really great. Really any iron sights would work on here totally fine. And you put a red dot on here too, and it'd be great. But that, I think, really looks awesome. And so if you're going to get your pistol out, you just take that forend off, you pop these two clips open, and it just opens up. You can keep all of your red dots or your sights right on there. The pick rail's only on the back half of the shell. I like to store the charging handle inside the chassis when I'm not using it. But just as easy to get off, it's just as easy to get back on. So you just line up those serrations with that charging handle and drop it back in. So that's what's so cool. You could be carrying that pistol all day, and then you get to the range, and then you throw it in the chassis, and then there you have a fun PCC to run around with. And you have a lot of control, and the recoil is very light. It's balanced perfectly in the chassis, and it's just a dream to shoot. It works so great. It's got a big flash ball right at the end, which is pretty cool looking, especially at night. And it's easy to use. It's easy to get quick shots right on target. And it was a lot of fun to take out. Surprisingly, a ton of fun. Well, that is the Recover Tactical P9 Plus. And thanks for checking it out.